The Seahaven FM Drive Home with Clive Mellor.
Since lockdown is somewhat eased in sort of some ways and some areas, one of the first artists to return to live work was Clive Parker-Sharp. He appeared in Rye on the 10th of July, and this Saturday he'll be at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven with extracts from his book Cone Boy. Earlier, Clive spoke to me about the event.
It's part of the Newhaven Arts Festival. We had these Cone Boy shows. We had quite a big tour booked at the beginning of April, and that all went to the wall, obviously, because of the coronavirus. So, what we've done is we've hooked up with people who are, possibly being a bit more tenacious and a bit more hardworking and getting events on, which includes arts festivals to get this show on. And, I've got to say they've done incredibly well in putting a brilliant program together. Cone Boy is part of it. It's a sort of mash-up of music, songs especially written, and some spoken word and drama from the Cone Boy book. It started out initially as some readings, which I was doing locally in some bookshops here, and quickly sort of evolved into something a lot more lively. So it's a fully blown show now of about an hour or so, 50% of which is songs, which I suppose would be, the soundtrack. So it's a kind of musical, really. It's a musical mashup, and it's probably a little bit punked up. It's quite high energy and lots of fun, which, is probably teasing out a slightly deeper message within the book.
Clive Parker-Sharp talking to me earlier about his forthcoming appearance this Saturday evening at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven. We'll be hearing more from Clive in a bit. That's new music from Rains called Come My Way. Now, Saturday evening sees Clive Parker-Sharp appearing at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven. Earlier, I asked him about his musical background and appearing before an audience wearing masks.
I started out as a drummer back in the day, and, next year it'll be 40 years since I co-formed a band called Big Country. And prior to that, I was in punk groups like Spiz Energy and the Members, and I started out as a drummer. But through the sort of 90s and later on, I got more into production and started writing and picked up guitar. And now my primary instrument is probably guitar. I use it for, writing songs, and luckily I have a professional in a collaborator, a professional actress and singer. So, her expertise actually makes me sound half reasonable, hopefully. So I'll be out there doing my thing, and because people will be wearing masks, I won't be able to tell whether they're very unhappy about my performance. But it'll be great fun. There's a Q&A afterwards. We're very much looking forward to seeing people there because there's a dearth of live events now, and as I said, I think it's some form of tenaciousness that the organisers have managed to get this on, and I highly recommend getting down, and it's going to be great, and I very much look forward to seeing people there.
Musician and author Clive Parker-Sharp. More from him in a minute, but now on the drive home it's 5:30.
Seahaven FM.
Traffic and travel.
My guest this afternoon is Clive Parker-Sharp, who's appearing in Cone Boy at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven this Saturday as part of the Newhaven Arts Festival. Earlier, I asked him where the title of the piece, Cone Boy, had actually come from. I
originally had the idea because I just wanted to tour coastal resorts and have one long holiday, so I came up with the ice cream cone. Idea, but it quickly developed into something else. But the ice cream cone, or the Cone Boy idea, on a more serious note, is about a child born in the 70s who is born with a different look, and given the, pretty insulting nickname of Cone Boy by the media at the time. So the story is about a child who becomes famous as a result of the way they look, which I think is quite kind of poignant now, and it talks about our celebrity culture now. And in a way, it's comparing the celebrity culture now and the fame game now, back with that of the 70s, and how it's developed over time. Obviously, it was through the glare of newsprints then, which led, the newspapers were king along with the music papers in my particular instance, and now it's the internet and social media. So it's about that evolution and how it's developed over the time. But in essence, the core of the story is a family story about how this child's fame is exploited by his family and those around him, and the spin out that is created as a result. So, Clive, what I'm doing is I'm, comparing then and now, but as you said earlier, it's also very much semi-autobiographical in that nobody's named in particular, but it's based on people, places, and experiences from my own life.
Clive Parker Sharp, and you can see him on Saturday evening at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven. A bit more from him after David Bowie. Earlier I asked my guest Clive Parker Sharp the type of music that he'll be talking about on Saturday evening.
There's going to be a lot of your listeners who won't have heard of the bands I was in. People don't know who Big Country are these days, and some of the kind of pivotal influential punk bands that I played with. It isn't common stuff to hear on the radio or on media and TV. And, it taps into that, but it isn't all about that because, I don't think people necessarily want all this kind of nostalgia stuff rammed down their throats. But it is a very, rounded show. It's a 360-degree show in a way because, as you say, it's tapping into that historical stuff, but bringing it very much up to date with some great music and some exciting drama.
Finally, I asked Clive how his work fitted in with the Newhaven Festival and how to get tickets.
Because we're doing it at the Hillcrest Centre, this primarily benefits the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven, who are a community centre, and they do community dinners on weekends, and they're a community cafe. So the lion's share of the dosh is going to the Hillcrest Centre for it. It'd be great if people want to come along and, have a look at the book and have a chat and get a signed book and so on. But it's not obligatory. And it'd just be great to see people there and, to get out to live drama, music events again. The place to go to, that is the best place, is the Newhaven Festival site, which is newhavenfestival.co.uk, and all of their events are on there, which includes a whole load of sort of cultural delights like arts events and walks and talks, and you can buy tickets on there for our show, Coneboy.
Clive Parker Sharp, who will be appearing at the Hillcrest Centre in Newhaven this Saturday evening. Tickets via the Newhaven Festival website. As he said, it's newhavenfestival.co.uk.